So I'm incredibly fortunate in that I don't really buy fabric so much as accumulate it, especially when other people are trying to get rid of theirs. Before it was given to me, this fabric was being used for a little interior decorating, so it was artfully bunched up and it had all these really aggressive little metal clips throughout, so it's a little bit holey and a little bit crinkled, but I still wanted to try and make something pretty with it. If you're familiar with my channel, you may have picked up that I'm kinda into wings, so that's what I tried to make with stuff I already had laying around. To get the general size and shape of my wings, I traced one of my arms and worked from there. I ended up deciding on a 2-layer design with stylized feathers. So I did a test prior to washing the fabric comparing some fabric glue and the fabric paint I plan on using, and the fabric glue holds up a little bit better, so I'm thinking of going around the entire edge with the glue before filling in the design with the glitter paint. I placed a layer of plastic wrap between my fabric and the design to prevent it from sticking to the paper, and reused the same plastic for the rest of the wing pieces. I began by tracing the entire wing shape with fabric glue to seal the edges. You can see right here where the glue wasn't quite dry and I accidentally brushed my knuckle against it, so that's not recommended. Then I carefully traced my design with some gold glitter paint that I had left over from the sunflower project. Then I carefully cut out the entire wing as close to the outline as possible. So it's taken me longer than I care to admit to build this habit, but it's super helpful to keep these point down so that the paint stays down by the tip and you get less air bubbles. Very shaky hands, so I have to rest my hand on something to get something resembling smooth lines, which makes it really challenging when you're working with paint because I can't exactly rest my hand on the paint, so I have to kind of do little sections at a time and wait for them to dry, because if I push my luck, usually I mess up. And that can be really, really frustrating, so I have to go slow. And even when I do go slow, I don't always get perfectly smooth lines, but that's a result of not having much practice and also having extremely shaky hands, so it's the best I can do. Good enough. To get a mirror image for the other wing, I flipped over the first wing and used it as a template. To decorate the top edge and attach the 2 layers together, I used a metallic gold bias tape from my stash. And let me tell you, this stuff was finicky as all get out. You see what I mean? I pinned it to the wrong side first so that when I flipped it, the binding would end up on the outside with the rest of my design. I used strips of tissue paper to stabilize the fabric and prevent the rubbery surface of the dried paint from causing any problems. pressed the bias tape flat and then stitched it down. Come on. Oh, please behave, I'm begging you. That just makes a really distressing noise, doesn't it? Okay, that looks like nothing's gone catastrophically wrong, so I'm glad I have a wooden table to knock on. You know what, you're just gonna be the way you are, that's life. I hate having bad eyesight, it's super annoying, oh my god. How we doing? That's not too bad, actually. You know what? I'm mildly pleased with that. Cool beans, I need more tissue paper. Nothing in this world is perfect, except dogs. Freaking eyesight, why can't I freaking look at stuff without going cross-eyed? Darn it, dang-nibbit. Why did I put the tissue paper on the other side of the room? Oh, that was a scary noise. Well, I don't know what happened there. But darn it! That's okay. Whatever, everything's okay. It's not a disaster. Everybody's gonna live. Next, I cut out strips from my scrap fabric to create pockets to hold the zip ties I used to stiffen the ends of my wings. The zip ties were just cut in half and glued one on top of the other to make them a little bit more stiff. I hand sewed the pockets to the inside of my wings. I think that shows personal growth. So here is one of the finished wings. You can see right down here at the end that it actually shrunk pretty significantly. I'm thinking that's either because when I was sewing on the bias tape I may have stretched it a little bit by accident, or when I pressed the fabric trying to get the bias tape to lie flat, I may have contracted or melted the fabric a little bit, because this purple stuff does not get along with my iron, hence the many wrinkles. Yeah. I was able to find some matching scrap fabric for the collar. I cut out 2 layers and stiffened one with interfacing. Looking back, I could have maybe skipped the interfacing or trimmed it back from the seam allowances more because it made it really tricky to turn and iron. I sewed the pieces right sides together and trimmed down the seam allowances, clipping along the curves and at the corners. Then turned the collar right side out. I tried my best to press it flat, but it was not terribly cooperative. Then I attempted to do some decorative top stitching in gold thread, mostly because I didn't have any thread that remotely matched my fabric. I sewed snap closures to the neck piece as well as the wings. This project spent a lot of time rolled up on the shelf, but I finished it eventually. I like the concept a lot, the movement of the layers and the different levels of opacity. It's just a shame that I don't actually have anything in my closet that matches it very well. Anyways, I'm curious to know what you would have done with the fabric if you liked what I did with it. And if you like this video, please share it with someone you think will enjoy it, subscribe, and consider contributing to my Ko-Fi. It would really help the channel out. Okay, but get a load of this sunflower. It's so tall. What are you so tall for?